here we are, season 4. They keep asking us back or putting us on the schedule.
Yeah.
And anyway, if you're new here, I'm Heather. This is my best friend, Jamie. And this is the podcast Life in Motion, where we talk about life, the ups, the downs, everything in between, even the stuff we're not supposed to talk about. Like, what's the juicy details right now?
Oh, my goodness. Well, so we're going to have to start somewhere. I was wondering if you ever say things that they come out of your mouth and you think, where did that come from? So I was talking to my teenagers. I kid you not. I do not cuss. Like, I have no reason to. And I was going to say something. I was so mad, and I was going to say freaking, and the real live F word came out of my mouth.
No.
And I even went like, and my kids were like, oh my gosh. And I was too.
And did you go wash your mouth out with soap?
I didn't, but I haven't
You should have.
I should have. Maybe I'll do it today. I haven't been watching trashy shows. I haven't been reading books that have cuss words in them. I don't know. Like, it just flew out of my mouth as if I talk that way.
Oh my gosh. I am floored.
We were all floored. I honestly think between me and Cooper and Chase, so 45, 16, 14, I think I was the most shocked. Yeah. I was like, I was like so disappointed in my mouth. Like, I don't know where it came from.
Yeah.
So that's how we're starting off January, I guess.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Time for some New Year's resolutions. Number one.
The end of the month.
No
I don't know
cussing.
if I'm ready. Yeah, no joke. So our promise to you guys this season is that we're not going to cuss.
Yeah.
So, and I'm going to work out. Those are the two things I'm going to do this season.
I'm going to work out.
Good.
I decided. I've already started. And it's been okay.
Okay, I'm not a musician, but this keeps happening to me. Everything that people say lately, like, I feel like going into song, like, that has, like, singing a song that has that. You said, I have decided, and there's that old Christian hymn about
to
I
follow
have
Jesus.
The challenge is, like, I don't have a good voice. So if I started to sing it, you'd just be like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
you would look as shocked as if I had said the F word. So I'm not going to do it. But I just heard a song in my head. Does that make me weird?
No, I think you'd be good at maybe that old game show.
What old game show?
Name that tune.
Oh, very good. Okay. Maybe this will be a whole season of game shows. No. So as we come back together and we're not sure where to start, how do we kick off season 4? What's the purpose?
Okay. You have to identify where you've been to know where you're going.
You sound very, very professional right now. Okay.
So we need to talk about, for a minute, season 3. And we talked about, we did a lot of internal work that I was driving and frustrated with some feelings and things. And I'm like, am I really changing at all? Just like, or is it all just talk and learning and nothing is really happening? And I'm just still the same old person I've always been.
And what did you feel like the answer was?
I felt like the answer was, you still have a long way to go.
I'll be honest, I was a little bit discouraged after last season and all the internal work that I committed to and that I really did with my functional medical doctor, with my working out, with my eating, with counseling, only to have Brian tell me that he has seen those changes in my interactions with other people, and he doesn't always see them in my interactions inside our home. Well, that's kind of disappointing.
Well, home should be the place that you feel safest.
Sure.
So we let all of our bad behavior out with the people at home.
I know. I don't mean to,
Yeah.
but it has made me think, after a season of internal work, if I want that internal deep work to come out in external ways, what am I going to do this year? So we're at the end of January, the New Year's resolutions of eating healthy, and so the wheels have already fallen off of that. But if I'm seriously going to move forward and hope that inside my house people see that work was worth it, I'll tell you what I think I'm going to have to do. It doesn't really sound that fun.
Tell me.
I think I'm going to have to spend more time just being quiet with the Lord.
Oh, man.
I know. I don't mean to say that like it's a huge down arrow, but I was reading this book for school. Our professor had the audacity to give us an assignment at the end of the semester that I just want to keep you guys, Blake, if you're listening, I'm sorry. I just want to keep you guys in a posture of learning over the break. We've got a month off, so just you pick one of these books. Here's 10 to choose from. Just pick one book, read it over the break. And so I did what I do, and I quickly ordered 2 books. I was going to choose one of them to read, quickly ordered them. They arrived, and then I thought, I'll get to that later. And then
I didn't even look at that list until after Christmas, because I was just like, I'm just going to enjoy these.
I just need a break.
Yeah.
I just need a break. So we got to where we're about a week before we go back to school, and Professor Blake starts sending out communication. Hey, I hope everybody's had good holidays. Happy New Year. Wanted to let you know you need to email me a short report on your book. And I was like, oh, the book I haven't read. Yeah. Okay, great. So I've got 1 week, no problem. 1 week to read that book, which is great. And like a couple of days later, when I still hadn't started reading that book, he sends out the syllabus for the semester and all the pre-work that needs to be done before the first day of class. And I was just like,
yeah.
What? But I said all that to say, Blake's a nice person most of the time. I said all that to say
Blake's a nice person
all the time. All the time.
It's just you.
It is just me. In fact, my 14-year-old recently saw Blake at church and was just like, he's so nice. Like, he always calls me by name, says hi to me, asks me how I'm doing. I'm like, of course it's Blake. His internal work has already worked itself out externally.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, so I've been reading this book, Solitude and Silence. And just in the very opening, the author's talking about how when you're wanting to experience change and you're not seeing it, maybe you're in a season of quit working for it and be with the Lord. And I just wonder if I've done not all the internal work, because that never ends, but if I've done enough internal work to quit focusing on self for a season and just be in the presence of God in silence every day so he can change me. It's funny because it doesn't even sound hard. It's just like, yeah, just sit in silence for a little while until you really
do it. And then you're like, I just start immediately thinking all the things I need to do, the people I need to talk to. Yeah. I never felt like I make great progress, so I probably have not given it enough time. And there's the problem is that I'm not making progress, so
it must not be working.
I'm going to give this up.
Yeah, it must not be working. I mean, yeah, exactly. I'm just wondering if in this this season of my life, if my work that I did internally last season, if I need to just be quiet before the Lord, and if that will allow him space to speak to me so that I can now move that work from internal to external, if that makes any sense. Like, it really made me sad, although we all know all my sadness comes out in anger. But when Brian said to me very lovingly, like, I know people are seeing a change in you. I'm not personally experiencing it in our relationship. I'm just kind of like, all that work for nothing? And he didn't mean that, not for nothing by any stretch of the imagination. But I think I've done enough work to give God something to work with. But unless I hear his voice showing me how to play that out in my home, then I might be missing it.
You know, when I think about where I've been and my usual pitfalls and traps that I fall into, I know that those things that hinder me, get me all riled up or whatever, are best worked out in my relationships, in my community.
Sure.
That there's things that I was thinking about as I was driving, that what's the next step? How am I going to, what do I do with this? What do I do with these feelings? Is it appropriate? Am I supposed to be saying, you are annoying to me? And
it's not appropriate to say that word.
No, I wouldn't do. I'd never do that. Never do that.
Me too either.
But how do I how do I distinguish my feelings? How do I let them out without getting them bottled up where, I'm building up resentment again for either to Whit or to somebody else or whatever it might be. But, how do I continue to walk this out? Where am I going? And I think a lot of that can be identified by the season of life that you're in.
Sure.
And knowing where you're at so you know where you need to go.
I was thinking recently, we have a friend in ministry, a dear friend of ours that's leaving Church on the Move to go and pastor a church in California, and his name is Stephen. And I was talking to him recently because Stephen and I go way back.
Yeah.
We both interned at Church on the Move as 22-year-olds or what have you.
Stephen and I go farther back than you.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we both go way back with Stephen. But he and I were talking about, when you're young, which I'm no longer in the season of being young. I'm in the middle of my life or the second half of my life. But when you're young and you begin following God, you'll kind of do whatever it takes. And we were talking about how our mentor in ministry said to both of us, if you'll be here every time the doors are open, if you'll, come to lunch when I invite you and follow me around and let me show you what I'm doing and what I'm thinking as I'm doing the things that I'm doing, I will help you go wherever you want to go in ministry. I'll open any door for you that I can open. I'll make any call for you that I can make. I'm here for you. But I think something has happened over the course of my life. I've gotten busy being a wife and a mother, and that I'm not always willing to do whatever it takes to be as close to the Lord as I could be, to be at the church every time the doors are open, to serve maybe in a kid's class or in the nursery or what, I'm kind of beyond that. I've done that, and now I'm all grown up, and I feel like this season of my life, the Lord's pointing me back to, where did you start? Because you experienced tremendous growth and satisfaction. And can you go back to that and do it again? So we're busier than I've ever been. My schedule doesn't allow me to be at the church every time the doors are open, or does it?
I think I'm in a different place than you, where when I think about, I see it happening with my daughter, and when, for me, I get into a season of life and I want it to be over. I want to be moving on to the next thing.
Yeah.
And I'm often so fixed on get me out of here that I'm trying to look ahead, okay, this is where I'm going and what's it going to take to get me there, that I'm not living in the season that I'm in.
Yeah.
That
makes sense with your personality also, Heather.
Yeah.
Because you're a maximizer and you want to go and do and make the most of everything, but that means forward thinking, forward motion, forward.
Yes. There's always something
coming up
to do, to move on.
Yeah.
Instead of where are you at right now? What is the Lord talking to you about, showing you that instead of just quickly moving on, how do you live in this place and enjoy it for what it is? It's like if you've ever been to a meal that has multiple courses, I go to those meals. If you've ever done a 8-course meal,
you go to those meals
hungry.
Oh, I see.
I go to those meals.
It made it sound
hungry.
Like that's part of your everyday life. I go to those meals.
I've been occasionally, and I go hungry. I'm having a light lunch, and I'm just ready to eat. And then you look at the menu, and it's salad, and then it's something, and then it's something else, and you look further down, and you're like, okay, but we're getting steak down here, or whatever, that I nibble at the salad, or or whatever the appetizer is or whatever. I'm not going to have very much of that because I really want to enjoy that steak.
Yeah.
And then when the steak comes, it's a small portion.
It's a tasting
and
menu.
I realize I have been missing out on all of these other parts of my life because I'm only looking forward to the bigger thing to come. And
maybe we should do a life swap. Like maybe you should spend more time at home in your warm covers, just reading books and things, and maybe I should get out of the bed and go do something.
Yeah, you should get out of the bed and do something.
I know.
But my daughter, she's like, I just want to get done with high school. I just want to move on to my real life and living it up and whatever. And like, you're living your life right now.
Yeah. This is, today's the best today you're ever going to have.
Yeah.
Don't miss it.
Yeah.
As I'm sitting here thinking, I feel like I've contradicted myself, and I almost feel like I'm in a season of contradictions. So I want to be silent before the Lord. I do want to be still. I don't want to move until I know that He's spoken to me. But I don't want this to be a season of inactivity either. I feel like I want to be silent to the point where I don't expect God to do anything or say anything. Every time I'm silent, I want to just be with Him to just be with Him. But I want to be ready to step out the moment I know that He's asking me to.
Yeah.
So I want it to be a season of slow down, but move.
Yeah.
Which I know feels and sounds weird.
But you could just say, okay, I know you're asking me to do this, Lord, and then just fill it up with busyness.
Absolutely. And
so
I don't
that you're
want
not learning anything. You're not receiving anything. You're not communing with Him, but you're just like, okay, I'm doing for you. And you're not being.
That's so good, Heather. And I think there's a ditch on both sides of those. Like if you just only said, for this season, I'm just going to be with the Lord, and no one else gets to experience the overflow of that.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's what God's calling me to right now. How about that? Just
Yeah.
speak for myself and not try to speak for someone else. But you're right. If I just get busy and fill up the day, like top of January, I came off of a Christmas break that was relaxing and a lot of time to just read fiction and build puzzles and do things like that. And man, it hit January 1st, and like we have a conference at the beginning of the year, and work picked up, and I'm just looking at the hours of my day just fly by. I've got to find a happy medium.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think I said wanting to move forward and everything is that I do need to find that stillness.
Yeah.
Because I want, Lord, is this passing me by? Am I wasting my time or being at home or taking care of my kids or whatever? Am I just wasting my time? And I need to focus on being the same as you. Mm-hmm. It comes, I think, from different motivations.
Yeah, we're different people, different personalities, different strengths, different weaknesses, different motivations.
Yeah.
That's good. I would say if I had to boil it down in a nutshell, tell me how this sits with you. I feel like this season might be about seasons of life and how in this season we're going to faithfully follow the Lord. It's going to look different for each of us and anyone listening, but how do we faithfully follow the Lord? Does that sound right?
I think so. I think that we are working out what He's started in us with season 3, and it was even before then, but the things that we were awakening to in season 3 of bad habits and old ways of thinking.
Songs just popping in my head.
Old ways of thinking that it's just not enough. Learning is not enough.
Right.
Like we have to realign our desires of our heart, of our life, to not just, I recognize that I'm doing a bad thing, I'm going to try to work on that.
Yeah.
But the deeper part of it, of what's our heart focusing on.
Absolutely. I actually have a counseling session scheduled for next week that I might cancel because I don't think I need anybody else to help me mine out what I need to work on. I think I've worked on enough things for this season that I need to be with my Heavenly Father and let Him tell me what step to take. Mm. So hopefully at the end of this season, my husband will say to me, I see what everyone else is seeing. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, wow. Ultimately, I hope that for my relationship with the Lord, of course, but my very first, most important relationship on this earth, I want Brian to see it. Mm-hmm. I want him to say, you're growing. Yeah. And mean it.
Yeah.
He encourages me in a number of ways, but that would be my goal for this year.
Yeah. And we'd love to hear from you, that if this is meaningful to you and you are sensing that God is calling you, whatever season he's calling you to.
Yeah.
We want to hear from you. You can text and tell us what you're learning to Life in Motion at 23101.
That's right.
Text the words Life in Motion 23101. You'll get a prompt and then just fill it in with whatever resonates with you, what you're learning.
That sounds great.
There's an old story, help me if you've heard it because I never tell it right.
Oh, no.
Of a young monk who came to a monastery and came to the older father and was like, how do I think he was saying, like, how do I become like you? You know the Lord so well and you're so at peace. How do I become like you? And the older monk told the younger monk, go to your cell, which is your room, and you will learn everything you need to know. And that cell is basically your bed, a window, if you're lucky, a desk, a chair, and the walls are blank. And so the older monk is telling the younger monk, go to your cell and you will learn everything that you need to know. We're not monks, and we rarely have the opportunity to go to a monastery and spend a week living in a cell, but our life, certainly, in the season that we're in, can be like a cell if you consider it that way, that in this season that you're in, the Lord wants to be with you and teach you about himself, to draw you to him, if you will allow him. And, a lot of times we want to look outside the cell to, there's something more exciting going on, there's something I should be doing, instead of resting in that season. And that season can feel like a pit or a prison.
Heather, we're so used to noise, may not be the right word, but we're so used to constant noise. Like, I even think my 8-year-old daughter, I turn on white noise in her room to go to sleep because her teenage brothers are still being so loud in the other room. But she goes to sleep to noise. When I'm bored, I scroll through Instagram, not because I even care what's going on in somebody's life, but because I'm so used to constant noise, I don't know how to just be.
Yeah.
And I think if this season of my life, God's calling me to spend more time being, and we're inviting others to come along with us, it's going to be difficult.
Yeah.
It's going to be unplugging, turning off a television, setting down a fiction book, turning off your phone, not silencing it, because, man, you still see those notifications come across. But really being with the Lord, it's going to be a different kind of hard than last season.
Yeah. But the Lord is with us.
The Lord is with us. One thing I was thinking as we were talking that maybe we should let our friends know is, we encourage you to text in what you're thinking, what you're doing as we're doing it. But because we pre-record some episodes, sometimes we don't get your responses at the same time that we've kicked out the questions. I hope that makes sense. Like, we'll kick out a question, but then you don't see the episode for 2 or 3 weeks. But we may take some time this season to share some of the things you're sharing with us, to encourage other people. So don't feel like anything you send goes unread or unnoticed. We're so thankful that you're doing this with us. So keep up the good work. Text Life in Motion to 23101 because we read those. We think about you, and sometimes you're going through hard things, and we even have the opportunity to pray for you. So thanks for doing this with us. So Heather, as we wrap up this episode, I've got the infamous question for you. What have you done in the last week that has brought you or those around you joy? Or what are you going to do? The sky's the limit. It can be forward thinking, backwards thinking, whatever you want.
My gosh.
I'll go first.
To remember to make a note of this.
Oh my goodness.
Have something ready.
I'm going to go first. We had to push pause on our Friday friend lunches with you and Whit and Brian and I because of holidays, and then January getting everything up and started and running again. But return of the lunch. We have lunch on Friday, so I'm looking forward to it. It's going to bring you joy too. So it's my gift to you.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
What is bringing me joy is Whit and I have resurrected an old hobby over the Christmas break that I'm hoping to reel you into. You committed that you were going to give it a shot, and then you bailed and came up with a lame excuse.
I did not honor my word. Go ahead.
So
it's probably the week I cussed also.
Yeah.
May have been.
The Lord has things to talk to you about.
I know, it's why
I'll be showing up in your dreams tonight.
Go ahead. What have you resurrected?
Whit and I have resurrected golf for us. That
awesome.
I've been, this is crazy to think about, but I've been thinking about we're going to be empty nesters in less than 10 years.
Yeah.
And I better be ready for that season, that transition.
Sure.
Or we might just be looking at each other like, okay, what now?
Yeah.
And have nothing going on.
Yeah.
So I was like, Whit, would you give it a shot? Let's go and play a round of par 3. And he did. And this is a testament to how much Whit has changed. Like when we played golf 20 years ago, he was miserable to play golf with because he was so competitive that he just was getting mad and throwing clubs, and it was no fun. So
throwing clubs.
I'm not exaggerating. So we went and played, and the first hole, he immediately hits it off of a light post, and it ricochets into the parking lot.
Oh my goodness!
And he's getting mad and getting competitive, and I'm just like, time out. Can we just play and not worry about a score or anything? We're just here to enjoy each other's company while we take a walk with golf clubs in our hand. And he was like, okay.
Yeah.
And we had a wonderful afternoon. And that is a testament to how much he's changed. That he was just able to lay aside all these competitive, ugly feelings. And we had a really nice time. So we decided, all right, let's pursue this a little bit more. And our gift to each other was golf clubs. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So that's what's bringing me joy lately, is resurrecting an old sport.
We really sincerely hope that you will also do something this week that brings you and those around you joy. So until next time, have a great day. We'll see you next week on Life in Motion.